Picture this, Christmas Eve. You're 8 months pregnant, standing in the snow outside your own mansion. You can see your husband through the window. He sees you too, and he turns away. The lock clicked 3 times. He changed every code, every key, every way back in. While inside, champagne flows, laughter echoes, and his mistress wears his jacket. But this isn't a story about a woman who begged to be let back in. This is about a woman who built her own house. What Claire Montgomery didn't know that frozen Christmas night was that her husband had been planning this for over a year. That there were emails, evidence, fraud worth hundreds of millions. That the locked door wasn't her ending. It was her awakening, because sometimes the worst thing that ever happens to you is actually the best thing. Sometimes being locked out means you finally see the prison you were living in. Sometimes losing everything means you finally find yourself. This is the story of a woman who chose truth over $20 million, who gave birth on courthouse steps, who brought down an empire while bringing life into the world. Stay with me, because what happens next will restore your faith in justice, in strength, in the power of a mother who refuses to be erased. This is Claire's story, and it starts with a locked door on Christmas Eve. The lock clicked. Once, twice, 3 times. Claire Montgomery stood on the front steps of her own mansion, her hand frozen on the brass doorknob. 8 months pregnant. Christmas Eve. Snow beginning to fall on her shoulders like cold accusations. Through the beveled glass doors, she could see everything. The Christmas party was in full swing. Champagne glasses caught the light from the chandelier she'd picked out last spring. Laughter spilled out, muffled but unmistakable. The tree in the foyer sparkled with the ornaments she'd hung just 2 weeks ago, when her belly was slightly smaller and her world made sense. She knocked again. Her knuckles hurt from the cold, from the repetition. Inside, Preston turned. Their eyes met through the glass. For 1 second, Claire thought maybe this was all a terrible misunderstanding. Maybe the locks were broken. Maybe he couldn't hear her over the party noise. Then he looked away, deliberately, and walked back toward the living room where the crowd gathered. The baby kicked, hard, like she was trying to tell her mother something Claire's brain couldn't quite process yet. "Preston," Claire called out. Her breath made clouds in the freezing air. "Preston, please, it's cold." No response, just the steady thump of music. "Have yourself a merry little Christmas." The irony wasn't lost on her. Claire tried the doorbell. The sound echoed through the marble foyer. She watched a woman in a red dress glance toward the door, but Preston said something to her, touched her arm, and the woman walked away. This wasn't real. This couldn't be happening. Not on Christmas Eve, not while she was 8 months pregnant with his child, not after 3 years of marriage. Her suitcase sat at her feet, the one she'd packed for the hospital, the one that was supposed to stay in the car until February when the baby came. Preston had asked her to bring it inside earlier today. She'd thought that was sweet, prepared. Now she understood. He'd been planning this. She tried the side door, also locked. The code panel for the garage had been changed. The number she'd used 1,000 times suddenly didn't work. Her key didn't fit anymore. Everything had been changed, everything. Through the window, Claire saw Vanessa Sterling, Preston's business development director. Young, beautiful, wearing a dress that probably cost more than Claire's wedding gown. Vanessa touched Preston's arm, laughed at something he said. He threw his head back in that way he used to laugh with Claire. Back when they were happy, back when she thought they were happy. The snow fell harder. Claire's maternity coat was inside. She'd left it hanging by the door when she went out to get something from the car. That was 30 minutes ago. Had it only been 30 minutes? It felt like hours. She pulled out her phone, her hands shook, not just from cold. Lock, unlock, lock, unlock, lock. She did this sometimes when she was anxious, checked her phone compulsively, like the act of looking would somehow change reality, like messages would appear if she just checked one more time. Nothing, no text, no missed calls, no explanation. The party music swelled. Someone turned up the volume. More laughter. The clink of glasses. The warmth of 100 bodies inside while she stood outside in the snow, with one hand on her pregnant belly and the other clutching a phone that refused to give her answers. A woman Claire didn't recognize came to the window. Middle-aged, concerned expression. She saw Claire. Her eyes went wide. She started toward the door. Preston intercepted her, whispered something in her ear. The woman glanced back at Claire. The concern in her eyes shifted to something else. Pity, maybe fear. She walked away without opening the door. What did he tell her? That Claire was crazy? Dangerous? That she'd left him and was trying to cause a scene at his party? Claire's water hadn't broken, but something else had. The careful construction of her marriage, the illusion of her life, the fantasy that she'd built brick by brick for 3 years, ignoring every red flag, every warning sign, every moment of doubt. She scrolled to Beth's number, her college roommate. The friend who'd warned her about Preston from the beginning. The one Claire had stopped calling as often because Beth's doubt felt like judgment and Claire needed to believe. Her thumb hovered over the call button because calling Beth meant admitting something. It meant saying words out loud that would make this real. But before she could press it, the front door opened. Just a crack, just enough for Vanessa to slip through. Vanessa wore Preston's jacket over her shoulders, the cashmere one Claire had bought him for his birthday, the one that still smelled like his cologne. Claire's maternity coat was still inside, hanging by the door, warm, available. But Vanessa wore Preston's jacket instead. "He asked me to give you a message," Vanessa said. Her voice was smooth, practiced, like she'd rehearsed this. "The marriage is over. Your things will be delivered tomorrow. He's already filed the papers." The words hit Claire like physical blows, one after another. Marriage over. Things delivered, already, filed. "What?" Claire heard herself say. Her voice sounded distant, not quite real. "It's better this way," Vanessa continued. "Clean break. He doesn't want drama. He doesn't want you upset. The lawyer will contact you after the holiday." "I'm 8 months pregnant," Claire said. The words came out quiet, shocked. "It's Christmas Eve." Vanessa's expression didn't change. "I know this is hard, but Preston's made his decision. You need to respect that." The door closed, the lock clicked. The party music swelled again. Someone laughed. It might have been Preston. Claire stood in the snow, one hand on her belly. The baby kicked again, strong, persistent, like she was trying to wake her mother up. Like she knew before Claire did that everything had changed. The Christmas lights on the house blinked. Red, green, gold, white, the colors blurred through Claire's tears. She'd hung those lights. She'd decorated that tree. She'd planned the menu for this party. She'd invited half the guests, and now she was locked outside, in the snow, while her husband partied with his mistress inside the home they'd built together. Claire looked at her phone, at Beth's number still on the screen, at the admission that came with pressing call, at the end of the story she'd been telling herself about her marriage. She pressed call. Beth answered on the first ring. "Claire, what's wrong?" "Can you come get me?" Claire's voice cracked. "I'm at the house. He locked me out. I can't, I just need—" "I'm already in my car," Beth said. "Stay on the phone with me. Do you hear me? Stay on the phone." Claire heard Beth's car start, heard her friend throwing things aside, heard the determination in her voice, the lack of surprise, like Beth had been waiting for this call for 3 years. "I'm so stupid," Claire whispered. "I'm so stupid, Beth." "No, you're not stupid. You're in shock, and that's different." "Where are you exactly? Front door, side?" "Front steps." "Okay, can you get to your car? Get out of the snow?" Claire looked at her car in the driveway, the silver sedan she'd driven for 5 years, the one Preston kept saying he'd upgrade, the one that suddenly looked like salvation. "Yes, I can do that." "Good. Get in the car, lock the doors, turn on the heat. I'll be there in 20 minutes, maybe 15. I'm driving fast." Claire grabbed her suitcase, walked down the steps she'd walked up and down 1,000 times. The steps where Preston had carried her over the threshold 3 years ago. The steps where they had taken Christmas card photos just last week. She didn't look back at the house, at the party, at the life she'd thought she had. She got in her car, locked the doors, turned on the heat, and waited for her best friend to rescue her from a marriage that had ended without her even knowing it was in danger. Through the windshield, the snow fell harder. The Christmas lights on the house blinked cheerfully. Inside, the party continued. Preston and Vanessa and 100 guests who had no idea that outside in the cold, a pregnant woman sat crying in her car on Christmas Eve. Claire touched her belly. "I'm sorry," she whispered to her baby. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I should have known. But I didn't." The baby kicked, like she was saying it was okay, like she was saying they'd figure it out, like she was saying they'd survive this together. Claire's phone buzzed. Not Beth, not Preston, his mother, Constance Montgomery. The text was formal, perfect punctuation, no warmth. "I'm deeply sorry for my son's behavior tonight. However, I cannot interfere in his marriage. I've sent a care package to your mother's address. All the best with the baby." Not grandchild, not granddaughter, just the baby. Already establishing distance, already choosing sides, already making clear where Claire stood in the Montgomery family hierarchy now. Nowhere. Headlights turned into the driveway. Beth's car, fast, purposeful, the cavalry arriving. Beth jumped out before the car fully stopped, ran to Claire's window. Her breath made clouds in the cold air. Her face was fierce with protective anger. "Come on," Beth said. "Let's get you somewhere warm, somewhere safe, somewhere that bastard can't hurt you anymore." Claire got out of her car, left her keys on the seat. It didn't matter. Nothing in that car mattered anymore. Nothing in that house mattered anymore. Nothing about this life mattered anymore. She got into Beth's car, warm, safe, away from the mansion and the party and the husband who'd locked her out in the snow on Christmas Eve while 8 months pregnant. As Beth pulled out of the driveway, Claire looked back one time, saw the house lit up like a beacon, saw the silhouettes of people inside, saw Preston through the window, champagne glass in hand, laughing. He wasn't looking for her, wasn't wondering where she'd gone, wasn't worried about his 8 months pregnant wife, who he'd just locked outside in the snow. He'd already moved on, already decided, already planned this moment down to having Vanessa deliver the message while wearing his jacket. "How long have you known?" Beth asked quietly as they drove. "I didn't," Claire said, then stopped. "I mean, I did. I guess I did. The signs were all there. I just kept finding reasons." "What reasons?" "That he was busy, that the company was stressful, that the pregnancy changed things, that I was being paranoid." Claire's voice broke. "That I was being like you. No offense. None taken. I'd rather be right and alone than wrong and married to that piece of garbage." They drove in silence for a moment. The snow covered everything, made the world look clean, pure, like nothing bad could exist under all that white. "Beth?" Claire said. "Yeah." "What am I going to do?" Beth reached over and squeezed her hand. "Tonight, you're going to sleep on my couch. Tomorrow, we figure out the next step. And the day after that, we keep figuring it out, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time if we have to. I have $3,000 in my personal account. That's it. He controls everything else. Then we work with $3,000 and we find a lawyer and we fight. I can't afford to fight. You can't afford not to." Claire looked down at her belly, at the baby who was going to be born into this mess in just a few weeks. The baby whose father had just locked them both outside on Christmas Eve. The baby whose future Claire had to somehow protect even though she couldn't even protect herself. "I'm not crazy," Claire said suddenly. "I saw what I saw. All those late nights, all those business trips, the way he stopped touching me when I started showing. I'm not imagining this." "No," Beth said firmly, "you're not." They pulled into Beth's apartment complex. Small, modest, nothing like the mansion Claire had just left, but warm, safe, full of a friend who actually cared whether she lived or died. That was worth more than all the marble and chandeliers in the world. Beth's apartment smelled like cinnamon, holiday candles. The tree in the corner was small, but real, decorated with mismatched ornaments. Nothing like the designer perfection Claire had created at the mansion, but somehow more honest. Claire sat on the couch wrapped in Beth's bathrobe. It didn't fit around her pregnant belly. Nothing fit anymore. Her hands wrapped around a mug of herbal tea she wasn't drinking, just holding. The warmth against her palms was the only thing that felt real. The contrast was stark. 8,000 square feet to 500. Cashmere to flannel. Wife to what exactly? You should eat something, Beth said. She'd made scrambled eggs, toast, simple things, comfort food. The baby needs fuel even if you don't feel like it. Claire took a bite. It tasted like ash, but she ate anyway, because Beth was right. The baby needed fuel. Her phone sat on the coffee table between them, silent. No calls, no texts, nothing from Preston, nothing from anyone except his mother's formal message and a string of texts from acquaintances who'd seen something on social media already. How did news travel so fast? How long have you known? Beth asked again, gently, like she was asking about the weather, but the question had weight. I did. Claire's voice cracked. The signs were all there. I just kept finding reasons. Better reasons than the truth. What signs? Claire set down her fork, stared at the wall, at nothing. He stopped touching me around month 4, said he was afraid of hurting the baby, but it was more than that. He stopped looking at me, like I became invisible the second I started showing. Beth didn't say anything, just listened. The late night started around 6 months ago. Same time he hired Vanessa. He said the company needed someone for business development. I asked what that meant. He said I wouldn't understand, that it was tech industry stuff. Did you meet her? Once at a company party. She was beautiful, young, ambitious, everything I used to be before I quit teaching to be his wife. Claire laughed. It sounded bitter. She told me how lucky I was, how wonderful Preston was, how she wished she could find a man like that. Jesus. I thought she was being nice. I thought she was just one of those women who says things like that to married women. I didn't think. Claire stopped. I didn't think she was sleeping with my husband while telling me how lucky I was to have him. Her phone buzzed. Both of them looked at it. Beth picked it up first. It's Trevor, Beth said, Preston's business partner. Don't answer it. But Beth was already swiping, already putting it on speaker. Trevor's voice filled the small apartment. He sounded drunk, slurred, desperate. Beth, I need to talk to Claire. Is she there? Please. She needs to know before tomorrow, before his lawyers spin everything. His voice broke. I tried to stop him. I swear I tried. But the prenup, Jesus Christ, the prenup. Claire's blood turned to ice, colder than standing in the snow. What prenup? The one you signed 3 months ago, the one Vanessa notarized. I never signed a prenup. Preston has your signature on everything. He's been planning this for 6 months, since the pregnancy test. He never wanted. Trevor stopped, started crying, actually crying. I'm so sorry. I'm so goddamn sorry. I should have told you. I should have warned you. But I thought maybe I was wrong. Maybe he wouldn't actually do it. The call ended, just stopped, like Trevor couldn't handle saying anything more. Claire sat frozen. Beth was already pulling out her laptop, fingers flying across the keys. What date? Beth demanded. When does he claim you signed? Claire's mind raced back. 3 months ago, September. She'd signed so many papers. Preston brought them home on a Tuesday night, said they were refinancing the mortgage, investment documents, insurance forms for the baby. She'd been exhausted. First trimester nausea had lasted into the second. She'd been throwing up twice a day, dizzy, tired, unable to think straight. He'd put the papers in front of her, pointed to the signature lines. She'd signed without reading, trusted him because he was her husband, because she'd never had a reason not to trust him. Oh God, Claire whispered. Oh God, Beth, what did I do? You trusted your husband. That's what you did. That's what you were supposed to do. Beth kept typing. But now we know. Now we can fight it. Fraud, forgery, coercion. Take your pick. With what money? With what lawyer? Beth looked up. Her face was fierce, determined. Marcus Reynolds owes me a favor. Big favor. He'll see you pro bono to start. Marcus Reynolds, the divorce lawyer? Best family lawyer in 3 counties. And before you argue, yes, he owes me. And yes, he'll help. And yes, we're calling him first thing tomorrow morning. Claire did that thing with her phone again. Lock, unlock, lock, unlock, lock. Checking for messages that wouldn't come. Checking for explanations that didn't exist. checking for a reality different than the one she was living. Beth gently took the phone from her hands. Stop. You are going to drive yourself crazy. I think I already am crazy. What sane person doesn't read papers before signing them? What sane person doesn't notice their husband planning to leave them for 6 months? A person who's pregnant, who's exhausted, who's been gaslit by someone she trusted. Beth leaned forward. Claire, honey, this wasn't sudden for him, but it was sudden for you. Preston planned this. Changed locks, filed papers. On Christmas Eve when courts are closed and you can't respond. This was calculated. The words sank in slowly. Calculated, planned, deliberate. This wasn't a fight that got out of hand. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was a strategy, an attack, a destruction. Why? Claire asked. Why would he do this? Why now? Why like this? I don't know, but we're going to find out, and then we're going to make him regret every second of it. Claire's phone buzzed again. Beth handed it to her. Another text, this time from someone Claire barely knew, a woman from the neighborhood association. Just saw the news. I'm so sorry. If you need anything, let me know. What news? Claire opened her browser, searched for Preston's name, and there it was, already published, already out there for the world to see. Tech mogul's wife abandons marriage Christmas party in apparent mental health crisis. The article had her wedding photo, the one where she looked young and happy and hopeful, the one where she still believed in fairy tales. Below it, a statement from Preston's lawyer. Mr. Montgomery is devastated by his wife's decision to leave during the holiday season. He has been concerned about her mental health throughout the pregnancy and hopes she gets the help she needs. He is focused on ensuring the safety and well-being of his unborn child. Claire read it 3 times. Each time, the words rearranged themselves into sharper weapons. Wife's decision to leave, mental health crisis, needs help, safety of child. He's painting me as crazy, Claire said. Her voice sounded hollow, distant. He locked me out, and he's telling people I left. Beth's face went white, then red, then white again. Son of a bitch, he's establishing his narrative before you can establish yours. What narrative? The truth? The truth doesn't matter if he controls the story. Beth grabbed her phone. I'm calling him my hospital. They have security footage. Emergency entrance. You walked past it getting to your car last night, remember? Claire nodded numbly. Timestamp footage of you at the house. In the snow, 8 months pregnant on Christmas Eve. That's not abandoning your marriage, that's being locked out. Beth made the call, explained the situation, asked for the footage to be pulled and saved, gave Marcus Reynolds his name as the attorney who'd be requesting it. When she hung up, she looked at Claire. Really looked. We're going to fight this. You understand me? We're going to fight this with everything we have. I don't have anything, that's the problem. You have the truth. You have witnesses. You have me. You have your mom. You have people who actually give a damn whether you live or die. Beth's voice softened. And you have a baby who needs her mother to be strong, even when being strong feels impossible. Claire touched her belly. The baby was quiet now, sleeping maybe, unaware that her world was falling apart before she even entered it. The TV was on, muted, but Claire saw it, her wedding photo on the news ticker, the headline scrolling beneath. She stood up slowly. That panic-cleaning feeling flooded through her, the need to fix, to organize, to control something. Her hands moved without permission, folding the blanket Beth had given her, straightening the couch cushions, organizing the pill bottles on the coffee table by size. Claire, Beth said gently, I need to clean something. I need to. Her hands shook. I need everything to be in order. Beth came over, took her hands, held them still. Breath. Just breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth with me. They breathed together, in, out, until the panic subsided, until Claire could think again, until the world stopped spinning quite so fast. I deserve better than this, Claire said suddenly. The words came out strong, clear. I left my career. I remodeled his house. I threw his mother's parties. I built a life around him and I deserve better than being erased like I never mattered. Yes, Beth said, you do. So what do we do? Tonight, We sleep, or try to. Tomorrow, we call Marcus, we get the footage, we start building your case, and we make Preston Montgomery regret the day he decided you were disposable. Claire's phone exploded. Text after text, people she hadn't talked to in years, all asking if she was okay, all having seen the story, all believing Preston's version because it was out there first. The advantage of controlling the narrative, the power of speaking before the other person could defend themselves. Her mother called. Grace Winters, retired librarian, widow, the steadiest person Claire had ever known. "I'm coming up," Grace said without preamble. "I'm leaving in an hour. I'll be there by morning." "Mom, you don't have to." "Yes, I do. Because you're my daughter, and you're in trouble. And that's what mothers do. We show up." The call ended. Claire looked at Beth. "She's coming." "Good, you need your mom right now." "What am I going to tell her?" "The truth, that your husband is a monster, and that we're going to fight back." Claire lay down on Beth's couch, pulled the borrowed blanket over her pregnant belly, closed her eyes, but sleep didn't come. Instead, memories came. Unwanted, unavoidable, relentless. Their first date, the gallery opening. Preston in his expensive suit telling her she saw art the way he saw code. Beautiful patterns others missed. She'd been flattered, charmed, seduced by his attention. Their wedding, she'd wanted small, intimate, just family and close friends. He'd insisted on grand, 200 people, ice sculptures, a band that played until 3 in the morning. "You deserve a fairy tale," he'd said. But it was his fairy tale, his vision, his party. She'd just been the bride in the white dress playing her part. The baby moved. Strong kicks. Persistent. Like she was trying to tell her mother something. Like she knew before Claire did that the fairy tale was over. That reality was beginning. That nothing would ever be the same. Claire touched her belly. "I've got you," she whispered. "I don't know how, but I've got you, I promise." Outside, the snow kept falling. Inside, Beth's apartment was warm, safe, small, but enough. Sometimes enough was all you needed. Sometimes enough was everything. Christmas morning. The light coming through Beth's windows was gray, pale, the kind of winter light that made everything look washed out, tired. Claire hadn't slept. She'd lain on Beth's couch all night feeling the baby move, watching the ceiling, trying to understand how she'd gotten here. The memories wouldn't stop. They kept playing like a slideshow in her mind. Each one tainted now, poisoned by the truth. Their honeymoon in Italy, Preston taking calls constantly. She'd thought he was dedicated, driven. Now she wondered who he'd been talking to, what he'd been planning even then. The day she told him she was pregnant, he'd smiled, kissed her, said all the right things, but his eyes had been calculating, like he was doing math in his head, like he was adjusting his timeline. 6 months ago when he hired Vanessa, he'd brought her to the house for dinner, introduced her as a business colleague. Vanessa had complimented everything, the house, the food, Claire's dress. Preston had watched them both with satisfaction, like he was conducting an experiment, like he wanted to see if they could occupy the same space. They'd eaten chicken marsala. Claire had made it from scratch. Vanessa had asked for the recipe, had Claire write it down, had thanked her profusely, all while sleeping with Preston behind her back. The baby kicked, hard, like she was trying to wake her mother up, like she knew Claire was spiraling. Claire sat up slowly. Her back ached, her feet were swollen. 8 months pregnant, on a couch that was too short was not comfortable. But she'd been in worse places, like standing in the snow on Christmas Eve. Beth was already awake, making coffee. The smell filled the apartment. Claire couldn't drink coffee anymore. Pregnancy rules. But the smell was comforting anyway. "How are you feeling?" Beth asked. "Like my entire life was a lie and I was too stupid to notice." "You're not stupid. You were trusting. There's a difference, which I befriend." "Is there?" Beth brought over a plate, eggs, toast, orange juice. "Eat. Your mom will be here in an hour. Marcus can see you this afternoon. We have a plan. We have a path forward. We have options." Claire took a bite. It tasted better than last night. Or maybe she was just hungry enough to taste it now. Her phone sat on the coffee table. She hadn't checked it since midnight, didn't want to see what else Preston's PR machine had created while she slept. But she picked it up anyway. Compulsive, unavoidable. The need to know even when knowing hurt. 73 new messages, 42 missed calls, Instagram notifications, Facebook tags, Twitter mentions. Her name was everywhere. She opened the news app. The story had evolved, grown, mutated into something bigger. Pregnant wife's Christmas Eve breakdown, friends worry about mental state. Tech CEO files for divorce, cites wife's erratic behavior. Inside Preston Montgomery's decision to leave his unstable wife. Each headline was worse than the last. Each one painted her as crazy, unstable, dangerous. A woman who'd abandoned her husband on Christmas Eve. A woman who needed psychiatric help. A woman who couldn't be trusted with a child. Don't read those, Beth said, but it was too late. Claire was reading, scrolling, absorbing every poisoned word. An unnamed source close to Preston said Claire had been acting strangely for months. Paranoid, accusatory, convinced he was cheating when he was just working hard to provide for their family. Another source said she'd threatened to hurt herself, to hurt the baby, that Preston had been terrified but didn't know how to help her. A third source said she'd attacked Vanessa at a company event, screamed at her, called her names, had to be escorted out. None of it was true. None of it had happened, but it was out there now, published, public, permanent. Claire, Beth said, stop reading. It's poison. It's my life. It's what everyone thinks about me now. It's what Preston wants them to think. There's a difference. Claire set down her phone, looked at Beth. How do I fight this? He has money, lawyers, a PR team. I have $3,000 and a couch to sleep on. You have the truth. The truth doesn't matter if no one believes it. Beth sat down next to her. Then we make them believe it. We get that security footage. We get Trevor to talk. We find everyone who knows what really happened, and we build a case so solid that Preston's lies crumble. And if that doesn't work, then we keep fighting anyway, because that's what you do when someone tries to erase you. You refuse to be erased. A knock at the door. Beth looked through the peephole. It's your mom. Grace Winters looked exhausted. She'd driven all night, still in her nightgown under her coat, hair uncombed, but her eyes were fierce, determined, maternal rage in every line of her body. She took one look at Claire and pulled her into a hug. Careful of the belly, gentle, strong, the kind of hug that said, I'm here and you're safe and we'll figure this out. My baby girl, Grace whispered. My poor baby girl. Claire cried, actually sobbed, into her mother's shoulder. All the tears she'd been holding back since standing in the snow. All the fear and shame and confusion and rage. Grace just held her, rocked her, let her cry, didn't try to fix it. Didn't say it would be okay. Just held space for the grief. When Claire finally pulled back, Grace looked to her in the eyes. Tell me everything. Start from the beginning. Don't leave anything out. So Claire told her. All of it. The locked door, the party, Vanessa's message, the prenup she didn't know she'd signed, the news articles calling her crazy, the systematic destruction of her reputation before she even knew she needed to defend it. Grace listened. Her face got paler with each detail. Harder. By the end, she looked like she could commit murder and not regret it. That bastard, Grace said quietly. That calculating, manipulative bastard. Mom, no, don't defend him. Don't make excuses. Don't do what women do when men hurt them. Grace's voice was steel. He locked you out in the snow while 8 months pregnant, on Christmas Eve, while partying with his mistress. There's no excuse for that. No explanation that makes it acceptable. No amount of stress or pressure that justifies that cruelty. Claire nodded because her mother was right. There was no excuse, no justification, no reason that made this okay. Dawn fully broke. The gray light turned gold. The snow outside sparkled. Christmas morning, children were probably opening presents. Families were probably gathered around trees. Normal people were having normal holidays. Claire was sitting in her friend's apartment in borrowed clothes planning how to fight her husband for custody of a baby who wasn't even born yet. I need to take a shower, Claire said. I need to feel clean. Go ahead, Beth said. Your mom and I will make breakfast. Take your time. Claire went to Beth's bathroom, closed the door, turned on the water, and stood under the hot spray fully dressed. The water ran over her, soaked through the borrowed nightgown, mixed with her tears. She pressed her hands against her pregnant belly, felt the baby move, strong, alive, depending on her. I'm sorry, Claire whispered. I'm so sorry you're being born into this mess. I'm sorry your father is who he is. I'm sorry I didn't protect us better. The baby kicked, like she was saying it wasn't Claire's fault, like she was saying they'd figure it out together, like she was saying she chose Claire, and that was enough. Claire didn't know how long she stood there. Time felt strange, broken, but eventually the water ran cold. She got out, dried off, put on clean clothes Beth had left outside the door. When she emerged, her mother and Beth were looking at a laptop. Their faces were pale. What? Claire asked. What now? Beth turned the screen. It was Preston's Instagram, posted 1 hour ago, Christmas morning. A photo of him and Vanessa in front of a Christmas tree, smiling, his arm around her. The caption read, "Sometimes life gives you unexpected gifts. Grateful to spend this Christmas with someone who makes me happy. New beginnings, Christmas miracles, moving forward." The comments were already pouring in, thousands of them. Most supportive, most telling him he deserved happiness. Most saying they were glad he'd left his crazy wife. A few asked about Claire, about the baby, about the timing. Preston's responses were carefully crafted. My ex-wife and I separated months ago. This isn't sudden for those who know us. I'm just finally ready to move forward publicly. The baby will always be loved and cared for. Ex-wife, like their marriage was already over, like she'd already signed papers, like it was decided and done. He posted that? Claire's voice sounded distant, shocked. On Christmas morning? The day after he locked me out? He's controlling the narrative, Beth said, making it look like this was planned, like you two separated amicably, like he's just moving on. We're still married. We're still legally married. He can't just announce an engagement to another woman while married to me. He can do whatever he wants if no one stops him, Grace said. Her voice was cold, hard. And he's counting on you being too pregnant, too broke, too destroyed to fight back. Claire looked at the photo again. Preston and Vanessa looked happy, in love, like they'd been together forever. Like Claire had never existed. Like 3 years of marriage could be erased with a single Instagram post. Then he's miscalculated, Claire said. Beth and Grace looked at her. Call Marcus, Claire continued. Tell him I need to see him today, not tomorrow. Today, Christmas or not. I don't care. I need to start fighting back now. It's Christmas Day, Beth said. He's with his family. Then interrupt his family, because Preston just declared war, and I'm done being the victim who doesn't see it coming. Beth made the call, explained the situation. The urgency. Marcus apparently knew Preston Montgomery, knew his reputation, agreed to meet them at his office in 2 hours. Get dressed, Claire told her mother. We're going to see a lawyer on Christmas Day, and we're going to start building the case that destroys Preston Montgomery's carefully constructed empire. She looked at herself in Beth's bathroom mirror, swollen, exhausted, 8 months pregnant, homeless, broke, but alive, angry, ready. Preston thought he'd broken her, thought locking her out in the snow would make her disappear quietly, accept his narrative, fade into the background of his new life with Vanessa. He was wrong. Claire Montgomery was done being invisible, done being erased, done accepting what powerful men decided she deserved. She was going to fight for herself, for her baby, for every woman who'd ever been locked out literally or figuratively by a man who thought he held all the power. And she was going to win. Marcus Reynolds' office was nothing like the slick downtown firms Preston used. It was a converted Victorian house near the courthouse. The walls were covered with his kids' artwork. Coffee rings marked every surface. A tabby cat slept on the reception desk. Marcus himself answered the door. Mid-40s, rumpled sweater, kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He looked like someone's favorite uncle, not a shark lawyer, but Beth had sworn he was the best. "Claire Montgomery," he said, extended his hand. "Come in. Merry Christmas. Though I suspect this isn't very merry for you." They settled in his office. Claire, Beth, and Grace on one side of a battered oak desk, Marcus on the other. He pulled out a legal pad, clicked a pen, and looked at Claire with an expression that was somehow both gentle and fierce. "Show me everything," he said. Claire spread it out. The timeline, the locked door, the party, Vanessa's message, the fake prenup, the news articles, the Instagram post, the systematic destruction of her reputation in less than 24 hours. Marcus read in silence. His expression darkened with each page. When he finally looked up, his eyes were hard. "This isn't a divorce strategy," Marcus said. "This is an annihilation strategy." Claire's hands instinctively covered her belly. "He's not trying to negotiate," Marcus continued. "He's trying to destroy you. Financially, socially, emotionally, legally, before you can even respond, before you can defend yourself, before anyone hears your side." He leaned forward. "The question is why? Why go nuclear like this?" "The baby," Claire said. "He doesn't want the baby." "It's not just the baby. This is bigger." Marcus pulled up something on his computer. "Preston Montgomery, Montgomery Digital Solutions. I have a friend who works in tech journalism. Mind if I make a call?" "On Christmas?" Grace asked. "He's Jewish. He's working." Marcus dialed, put it on speaker. The call lasted 6 minutes. Claire watched Marcus's face change, saw him taking notes, saw his jaw clench. When he hung up, he was silent for a long moment. "Preston's company is going public," Marcus finally said. "IPO announcement scheduled for February. Initial valuation is $400 million. Claire's stomach dropped. "The baby's due in February." "Exactly." Marcus pulled up more documents on his screen. "A messy divorce during IPO would hurt valuation. Investors get nervous. Questions get asked. Stock price drops. But if he can paint you as mentally unstable before the IPO, if he can get a judge to grant him sole custody based on your alleged mental health issues, if he can control the narrative completely." Marcus stopped. "He gets everything. The company goes public clean. The valuation holds. He's worth hundreds of millions, and you get nothing. Not even your child." The words sank in like stones, each one heavier than the last. "The prenup I supposedly signed," Claire said. "What does it say?" Marcus pulled up the document Trevor had sent, read it carefully. His face got darker. "If filed today, this prenup would give you nothing. No alimony, no division of assets, no claim to the business. Just $50,000 as a one-time payment. And that's only if you agree to supervise visitation with the child due to mental health concerns." $50,000, Claire repeated, "for 3 years of marriage. For being erased from his life completely. For disappearing quietly. For letting him keep his IPO valuation and his new girlfriend and his hundreds of millions without any mess. But I didn't sign it knowingly. I was sick. Pregnant. He told me it was mortgage documents. Which is fraud. Which we can fight. But fraud takes time to prove. And Preston has time. He has money. He has lawyers who will drag this out until after the IPO. Until his money is protected. Until you're so exhausted and broke that you take whatever he offers just to make it stop." Claire looked at her mother, at Beth, at the kind lawyer who was explaining exactly how trapped she was. "I deserve better than this," Claire said. Her voice was steady despite her shaking hands. "I left my career. I moved across the country. I remodeled his house. I threw his mother's parties. I built a life around him. And I deserve better than being erased like I never mattered." Marcus nodded slowly. "Then we fight. But I need you to understand what that means. This won't be clean. This won't be quick. Preston has resources. He has lawyers. He has a PR team. This will get ugly. This will get expensive. This will take months or years, and there's no guarantee we win. What's the alternative? Accept $50,000 in supervised visitation? Let him have everything while I struggle to raise our daughter alone?" "Some women would," Marcus said quietly. Some women look at the money and the power and the lawyers and they make a calculation. They decide survival is better than justice. I'm not some women. No, I can see that. Marcus pulled out a contract. My retainer is $5,000. I know you don't have it. Beth explained your situation. So here's what I'm proposing. I take your case pro bono for now. We win, you pay me from the settlement. We lose, you owe me nothing. But either way, you fight. You tell your story. You don't let Preston Montgomery erase you. Claire felt tears prick her eyes. Why would you do that? Because I've seen men like Preston before, men who think money makes them untouchable, men who destroy women just because they can. And I've made a career out of proving them wrong. He slid the contract across the desk. Claire signed it without hesitation. Okay, Marcus said, now we fight. First, we need to establish timeline. Beth, you said your hospital has security footage? Already pulled it, time-stamped. Shows Claire at the house at 8:42, but on Christmas Eve. Shows the snow, shows her standing outside. Shows her eventually leaving in obvious distress. Good, that contradicts his narrative that she left him. She was locked out. Marcus made notes. Second, we need witnesses. Anyone who saw what happened. Anyone who knows the truth. Trevor, Beth said, Preston's business partner. He called me last night, Claire added, told me about the prenup, said he tried to stop Preston. Then we get Trevor's testimony. We depose him if we have to. Marcus kept writing. Third, we need to establish pattern of behavior. Did Preston isolate you, control money, make you dependent? Claire thought about it. He controlled all the accounts, gave me an allowance for household expenses, $500 a month for everything, groceries, clothes, personal items. While living in a mansion and making millions, Marcus said, that's financial abuse. What else? He didn't like me seeing my friends, said they didn't understand our lifestyle, that they made me doubt him. I stopped calling people, stopped making plans. It was just easier to stay home. Isolation, classic control tactic. What about your career? You were a teacher, right? Art teacher. I loved it. But when we got married, Preston said I didn't need to work, that he made enough for both of us, that I should focus on making a home. Then I got pregnant and he said I definitely couldn't work, that I needed to rest, that the baby was more important than my career. Marcus wrote it all down, every detail, every small moment that seemed insignificant at the time, but was actually systematic control. Here's what Preston did, Marcus said. He isolated you, controlled your finances, ended your career, made you completely dependent. Then he planned to paint you as unstable and take everything, including your child. This is textbook financial and psychological abuse leading to systematic destruction. The words hung in the air. Abuse. Claire had never thought of it that way. Preston had never hit her, never yelled, never threatened, but he controlled every aspect of her life until she couldn't function without him, until she was trapped. What do we do now? Claire asked. Now we build your case. We gather evidence. We prepare for war. Marcus's phone buzzed. He looked at it, showed Claire the screen. It was a news alert. Preston Montgomery announces engagement to business partner Vanessa Sterling. Wedding planned for spring. The article was dated today, December 26th. Less than 24 hours after he had locked Claire out. Less than a day after their marriage had imploded. He can't, Claire whispered. We're still married. He's establishing his narrative, Marcus said. He's going to claim the marriage was over months ago, that you two separated in secret, that this is him moving on after a failed relationship. And if he can make people believe that, his IPO goes forward clean. No messy divorce, no questions. Just a businessman who fell in love with his business partner after his first marriage ended amicably. Nothing about this is amicable. No, but that's his story, and he's got the money to make it stick. Marcus looked at Claire. Unless we fight back, unless we tell your story first, unless we expose what he really did. Claire felt something shifted toward her, not the baby, something else, something harder, colder, more determined. She looked at Marcus, at Beth, at her mother. Then let's fight. Let's tell everyone exactly what Preston Montgomery did. Let's make sure the whole world knows he locked his 8 months pregnant wife out in the snow on Christmas Eve so he could party with his mistress. That's not fighting clean, Marcus warned. That's going public. That's making this messy. That's inviting more media attention, more scrutiny, more judgment. Good, let them judge. Let them see. Let them decide who's telling the truth, me or him. Marcus smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of a lawyer who'd just been given permission to destroy someone. Okay then, let's go to war. Beth's apartment transformed over the next 3 days. Marcus brought files, boxes, legal pads, a portable printer. Trevor showed up the day after Christmas with documents he'd copied before quitting Montgomery Digital in protest. Grace drove back to her retirement community and returned with a check for $15,000. She handed it to Claire without ceremony. Your father's life insurance, Grace said. I've been saving it for your emergency. I'd say this qualifies. Claire tried to refuse. Mom, that's your nest egg, your security. My security is knowing my daughter and granddaughter are safe. Take it, use it, fight with it. So now Claire sat in the center of Beth's living room, 8 months pregnant, surrounded by evidence of her husband's betrayal. Financial documents spread across the coffee table. Legal briefs stacked on the kitchen counter. Trevor's copied files in boxes by the door. It looked like the war room it was. Trevor sat on the floor, laptop open, walking them through Preston's business structure. Look at this, he said, pulling up a folder. Vanessa's employment contract. Preston hired her 14 months ago. Salary $250,000 a year. For business development. What does that mean? Claire asked. Business development. Nothing. Now, she doesn't develop business. She's never closed a deal. Never brought in a single client. I thought she was just incompetent. Or maybe sleeping her way into a position she didn't earn. Trevor stopped. Turns out it was both. But look at the date. Claire did the math. 14 months ago, right after she told Preston she wanted to try for a baby. Right after they'd had that conversation about starting a family. He planned this from the start, Beth said quietly. Met her, hired her, started the affair. All while you were trying to get pregnant. The words hit like physical blows. While Claire was taking prenatal vitamins and tracking her cycle and hoping for a baby, Preston was hiring his future mistress, planning his exit, calculating exactly how long he needed to stay married to maximize his profit. How long has the affair been going on? Marcus asked. Trevor pulled up more documents, expense reports, hotel charges, travel itineraries. At least a year, maybe longer. They've been careful, but not careful enough. Look at this. Business trip to Seattle in October of last year. Preston's hotel reservation. Standard king room. But look at the room service charges. 2 breakfasts, 2 dinners, always ordered at the same time, to the same room. That's not proof, Claire said, but her voice was hollow, because it was proof, just not the kind that would hold up in court. There's more, Trevor continued. Last February, conference in Miami. Preston's expense report shows a rental car. But look at the mileage. 700 miles in 3 days. The conference center was 5 miles from the hotel. Where did they drive? Does it matter? Claire asked. We know they were together. We know this has been going on for months. What difference does the exact timeline make? It matters because Preston is claiming your marriage ended months ago, Marcus said. He's saying you separated, that this is him moving forward after the relationship ended naturally. But if we can prove he was having an affair while still actively married, while you were trying to get pregnant, while he was lying to you daily, that changes the narrative. That's not a failed marriage. That's betrayal. That's planning. That's cruelty. Claire's phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Claire Montgomery? A woman's voice. Professional. Clipped. Cold. This is Jessica Hartwell from the Department of Child Services. We've received a concerning report about your mental state and ability to care for your unborn child. I need to schedule a home visit before the baby arrives. The room went silent. Everyone stopped, looked at Claire, at the phone in her hand, at the new level of warfare Preston had just initiated. Who made the report? Claire asked. Her voice sounded far away, like it belonged to someone else. I can't disclose that information, but given the nature of the allegations, I need to assess your living situation, your support system, your mental health. I can come tomorrow at 10 a.m. Will you be available? Claire looked around Beth's tiny apartment. One bedroom, couch where she was sleeping. No nursery, no crib, no biddy, no income, no stability. Yes, Claire said, I'll be here. Where is here exactly? I need an address. Claire gave Beth's address, heard the woman typing, heard the judgment in the silence that followed. I'll see you tomorrow at 10, Jessica said, and hung up. Claire set down her phone, looked at Marcus. He called CPS, Preston called Child Services, and reported me as unstable. Son of a bitch, Trevor said. He's escalating. He's trying to take custody before the baby is even born. Marcus was already typing on his laptop. This is actually good. How is CPS investigating me good? Claire's voice rose. Got higher, more panicked. Because it shows his hand. He's desperate. He's worried. He's taking extreme measures, which means he thinks you're a threat. Marcus kept typing. We prepare for the visit. We show them you're stable. You're safe. You have support. You have housing. You have a plan. We turn his weapon against him. I don't have housing. I'm sleeping on Beth's couch. Then we fix that, today. Marcus pulled up something on his laptop. There's a women's shelter 10 miles from here. They specialize in maternal support services, housing for pregnant women in crisis. It's not fancy, but it's documented. It's official. It's stable, and it's available. Claire felt tears prick her eyes. From mansion to women's shelter in 3 days. From wife of a millionaire to homeless single mother. From everything to nothing. Hey, Beth said gently, this isn't forever. This is strategic. This is showing CPS that you're taking appropriate steps, that you're responsible, that you're protecting your baby. That's good parenting. That's exactly what they want to see. I'm 8 months pregnant and homeless. How is that good parenting? You're 8 months pregnant and resourceful, Grace corrected. You left an abusive situation. You sought help from friends and family. You hired a lawyer. You're taking steps to protect yourself and your baby. That's not bad parenting. That's excellent parenting. Claire wiped her eyes. Did that thing with her phone again. Checking. Scrolling. Looking for something that would make this make sense. Some message. Some explanation. Some way to understand how her life had fallen apart so completely. Beth gently took the phone. Stop. You're going to drive yourself crazy. I think I already am crazy. What if Preston's right? What if I am unstable? What if I can't handle this? Don't, Marcus said sharply. Don't internalize his narrative. That's what abusers do. They make you question your own sanity. They make you doubt yourself. They make you think you're the problem. You're not the problem. He is. Trevor's phone buzzed. He looked at it. His face went white. Oh no, oh God, oh no. What? Claire asked. But she already knew. Already felt the next blow coming before it landed. Trevor turned his laptop around, showed them Preston's company-wide email, sent 10 minutes ago, to every employee. It is with regret that I announce Trevor Walsh has been terminated for theft of company property. We have filed criminal charges and will be pursuing full legal action. This behavior cannot and will not be tolerated. The words seemed to float, to not quite connect to reality. He's coming after me, Trevor said. His hand shook. He knows I took these documents. He knows I'm helping you. He's trying to intimidate me, trying to make me back down. Marcus and Beth exchanged glances. Claire saw the calculation. How much were they willing to risk? For her? For a baby that wasn't theirs? For a woman they barely knew in Beth's case or had just met in Marcus's? But then Grace spoke. Her voice was steady, calm, full of the kind of strength that only comes from living long enough to know what matters. My father used to say, the measure of a person isn't what they do when it's easy. It's what they do when it costs them everything. She looked at Claire. So we do this right. We do this clean, and we do this together. Because that's what family does. And you're all family now. Whether you want to be or not. Marcus nodded. I'm in. Preston can threaten all he wants. I've been threatened by richer men than him. I'm still here. I'm in, Trevor said. I should have stopped at him months ago. I should have warned you. I should have done something. I didn't, so now I do. Whatever it takes. I'm obviously in, Beth said. You're my best friend. You're my family. Preston can go to hell. Claire looked at them, at these people who were risking their careers, their reputations, their safety for her, for a woman and a baby they barely knew, for the principle of the thing, for justice. Starting over feels impossible, Claire said quietly, looking at her belly, at her borrowed clothes, at her mother's check on the table. But staying silent feels worse. You're not starting over, Grace said. You're starting fresh. There's a difference. 3 weeks later, mid-January, Claire was 36 weeks pregnant. The CPS visit had gone better than expected. Jessica Hartwell had come to the women's shelter, seen Claire's room, met her support system, talked to Marcus, reviewed the security footage from Christmas Eve. Jessica's report was cautiously positive. I see no evidence of mental instability. I see a woman who left a dangerous situation and is taking appropriate steps to protect herself and her unborn child. I'm closing this investigation as unfounded. Preston had been furious. His lawyer had filed an appeal. But for now, Claire was safe. The baby was safe. CPS wasn't going to take her daughter at birth, but victory felt hollow. Because Claire was living in a women's shelter, 36 weeks pregnant, broke, scared, sharing a bathroom with 6 other women, eating donated food, wearing donated maternity clothes, from mansion to shelter in 3 weeks. It was 2 in the morning and Claire couldn't sleep. The baby was doing gymnastics, kicking her ribs, pressing on her bladder, making sleep impossible. She got up carefully, navigated the dark hallway to the community kitchen, made tea she wouldn't drink, just needed the ritual, the normalcy, the pretense that making tea at 2 a.m. in a women's shelter was somehow a normal thing to do. Paula Henderson was already there, late 50s, fleeing her own marriage after 35 years. They'd talked before, shared stories, found comfort in not being alone. Can't sleep either, Paula asked. Baby's training for the Olympics. They sat in comfortable silence. Women who understood that sometimes the middle of the night was the only time you could let your guard down, the only time you could admit how scared you really were. Claire's phone buzzed. Marcus, at 2 a.m. Check your email, now. Her hands shook as she opened it. A file transfer, encrypted, password protected, with a note from Trevor's contact, Preston's private server, email backup dating back 2 years. Claire entered the password, waited for the files to download, and started reading. The first email was dated 18 months ago, from Preston to Vanessa, before Claire was even pregnant. The wife wants a baby. This complicates things but might work in our favor, playing devoted husband for another year. Then we file, claim she's unstable postpartum. I get everything including the kid for leverage. You play the patient, understanding girlfriend who I find solace with during my troubled marriage. By the time this is over, I'll be worth $500 million and she'll have nothing. Wait for my signal. Claire read it 3 times. Each time the words cut deeper. Playing devoted husband. Claims she's unstable. Kid for leverage. She'll have nothing. Every tender moment had been performance. Every I love you had been calculation. Every gentle hand on her pregnant belly had been part of a plan to take that belly's contents away from her. She made it to the bathroom before she vomited. The cold tile against her knees. The fluorescent light too bright. Her reflection in the mirror looking hollow. Destroyed. 29 years old and everything she thought she knew was ash. Paula appeared in the doorway. Didn't say anything. Just sat on the floor next to Claire. Put a hand on her back. Was present in the way only someone who'd survived their own destruction could be. The hardest part is admitting I knew all along, Claire whispered. Who a part of me knew, and I loved him anyway. Or loved who I needed him to be. Or loved the life I thought we had. I don't even know what I loved anymore. You loved hope, Paula said quietly. You loved possibility. You loved the man you thought he could become. That's not stupid. That's human. Claire's phone rang again. Marcus. She answered on speaker. Are you sitting down? I'm sitting on a bathroom floor at 2 in the morning, reading about how my husband planned to steal my baby for over a year. So yes, I'm sitting. There's more in those emails, a lot more. Preston's been hiding assets, offshore accounts, shell companies. The IPO valuation of 400 million, it's based on fraudulent numbers. He's been cooking the books for 2 years. Claire's brain, fuzzy from lack of sleep and emotional devastation, suddenly cleared. If that gets out before the IPO, the deal collapses. Investors flee. SEC investigates. Criminal charges possible. Preston loses everything. Not just the money, his reputation, his company, his freedom potentially. The bathroom was silent except for the hum of fluorescent lights. Claire sat on cold tile trying to process what Marcus was saying. So what do we do? Claire asked. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Too long, like he was choosing words carefully. We have a choice. We can use this as leverage in the divorce. Make Preston settle. Give you everything you deserve. Set you and the baby up for life. He'd pay anything to keep this quiet. Or we give it to the SEC. We report the fraud. We watch his empire burn. But Claire, if we do that, there's nothing left to split. The company crashes. The money disappears. Lawsuits eat up whatever's left. You'd get custody, probably. Full custody. But you wouldn't get money. You'd be raising this baby alone and broke instead of alone and comfortable. Claire looked at her belly, at the baby who'd be born in just a few weeks, at the daughter who deserved security, stability, a mother who could provide for her. Then she looked at the email still open on her phone, at Preston's words, at his plan to use their daughter as leverage, to claim Claire was unstable, to take everything while leaving her with nothing. I need to think about this, Claire said. You have 24 hours, maybe less. Other people have access to that server. Someone else is going to find these emails. Someone else is going to report it. And when they do, we lose control of the narrative. We lose our leverage. We lose our choice. The call ended. Claire sat on the bathroom floor, Paula beside her, the weight of the decision crushing her chest. Money or justice? Security or revenge? Practical survival or moral victory? What would you do? Claire asked Paula. Paula thought about it. 10 years ago, I'd burn it all down. But now, with a baby coming, I honestly don't know. Claire stayed there until her legs went numb, until the fluorescent light made her eyes hurt, until Paula had to go back to bed and Claire was alone with her choice. She thought about that moment in the snow, standing outside the mansion, locked out, invisible, erased, while Preston partied inside with his mistress. She thought about the lies, the calculation, the year of planning, the systematic destruction of her reputation, the CPS call, the fake prenup, the Instagram announcements, the engagement to another woman while still married to Claire. She thought about her daughter, about the kind of mother she wanted to be, about the kind of woman she wanted her daughter to see when she looked back at this moment. Someone who took the money and stayed silent, or someone who demanded the truth even when it cost everything. Claire pulled herself up off the bathroom floor, splashed cold water on her face, looked at herself in the mirror, swollen, exhausted, 8 months pregnant, living in a women's shelter, but still here, still fighting, still refusing to be erased. She went back to her room, pulled out her phone, stared at Marcus's number. Made her choice. Morning came too fast. Claire hadn't slept. She'd lain in her narrow bed at the shelter watching the ceiling, feeling the baby move, trying to understand which choice she could live with. The money would be life-changing. 5 million, maybe 10, maybe more. A house, security, college fund for the baby. Never worrying about money again. All she had to do was stay silent about the fraud. Let Preston keep his IPO. Let him become a billionaire on cookbooks and lies. Let him marry Vanessa and rewrite history and pretend Claire never mattered. Or she could tell the truth, report the fraud, watch his empire crumble, get custody but no money, raise her daughter alone and struggling instead of alone and stable. Money or justice, survival or integrity, practical or principled. Beth arrived with breakfast, coffee for herself, Herbal tea and banana bread for Claire. They sat in the shelter's common room, other women moving around them, morning routines, survival rhythms. Marcus told me, Beth said, about the choice. What would you do? I'd burn it all down, but I'm angry and petty, and I'm not about to be a single mother. Claire took a bite of banana bread. It tasted like sawdust. He planned to take my baby. He wrote that in an email. Use the kid as leverage, like she's a bargaining chip, like she's not a human being who'll grow up and read those words someday. I know. If I take the money and stay silent, those emails stay buried. She never has to know what her father said about her before she was even born. That's one way to look at it. What's the other way? Beth set down her coffee, looked at Claire, really looked. The other way is that silence protects him, that taking the money means he wins, that he gets to be a billionaire on fraud and lies while you raise the daughter he tried to steal from you, that he never faces consequences, that he never pays for what he did, that he gets to keep rewriting history and eventually your daughter will hear his version and think you're the crazy one who left. Claire touched her belly. The baby was quiet now, resting, gathering strength for birth. Her phone rang. Preston. First time he'd called directly since Christmas Eve. 6 weeks of silence, and suddenly he was calling. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Claire. His voice was smooth, familiar. The voice she'd woken up to for 3 years. The voice that used to say he loved her. We need to talk. Do we? I have a settlement offer, very generous. $5 million, full medical coverage for you and the baby, a house, college fund, everything you'd need, in exchange for joint custody, mutual non-disclosure, and a public statement that our marriage ended amicably due to irreconcilable differences. $5 million, a house, security, everything she'd been agonizing over all night. Offered just like that, casual, like he was discussing a business deal, not the destruction of their marriage and the custody of their unborn child. And the NDA covers what exactly? Claire asked. Just the usual confidentiality clauses, financial details, private matters, nothing unusual. You mean like the fraudulent IPO, the cooked books, the offshore accounts? Preston's silence was everything. Complete, shocked, calculating. When he spoke again, the smooth voice was gone. Whatever you think you have, it won't hold up. My lawyers will bury you. You're living in a shelter. You have $3,000 and a lawyer working pro bono. I have teams, resources, money. You can't win. Claire surprised herself with what came out next. You're probably right. I probably can't win, but I can make you lose. And sometimes that's enough. Don't be stupid, Claire. Think about the baby. Think about her future. $5 million, security, stability, everything you want for her. All you have to do is sign a piece of paper and move on with your life. Somewhere along the way, I became invisible to you, Claire said. The words came from somewhere deep. True. Maybe to myself too, but I see clearly now. I see exactly what you are, what you've always been, and I'm done pretending I don't. Claire, be reasonable. Reasonable? You locked me out in the snow, 8 months pregnant, on Christmas Eve while you partied with your mistress. Reasonable left the building before I did. Reasonable was never part of your plan. Name your price then. 10 million, 15, 20, whatever it takes to make this go away. And there it was, the admission, the desperation. He needed her silence more than she needed his money. The IPO was in 2 weeks. If the fraud got out, he lost billions. Plural, with it. I'll call you back, Claire said, and hung up. Beth was staring at her. Did you just hang up on an offer of $20 million? I did. Why? Claire touched her belly, felt her daughter moving, strong, determined, already more resilient than Claire had ever been. Because I just realized something, and he needs me more than I need him, and I'm done being the one who needs. Her phone started ringing. Preston, then Constance, then numbers she didn't recognize. Lawyers probably, PR people, damage control teams. The calls kept coming. Claire turned off her phone. Get Marcus, Claire said, and Trevor, and anyone else who's been helping. We're doing this differently. Differently how? Claire felt something shift, not the baby. Something else, something harder, colder, more certain. We're not negotiating. We're not settling. We're not taking money to stay silent. We're telling the truth, all of it, publicly, and we're letting the chips fall where they fall. Claire, that's insane, stupid, financial suicide, I know, but it's also the only choice I can live with. The only choice that lets me look my daughter in the eyes someday and tell her I did the right thing even when it cost me everything. Beth pulled out her phone, called Marcus, explained Claire's decision, listened to his response, then handed the phone to Claire. You're sure? Marcus asked. Once we go public, there's no taking it back. No negotiating. No settlement. We burn every bridge and salt the earth. I'm sure. Okay then. Marcus's voice changed. Got harder. More determined. Let's go to war. 3 days later, courthouse steps. 3 weeks before Preston's scheduled IPO. 2 weeks before Claire's due date. Marcus had arranged everything. Not a press conference exactly. A statement. Claire would speak. Trevor would present documents. Marcus would answer legal questions. Simple. Clean. Devastating. Claire stood at the microphone. 9 months pregnant. Simple blue dress Beth had helped her pick. Behind her, Marcus, Beth, Trevor, Grace. A line of people who believed her, who stood with her, who were willing to risk everything for the truth. The cameras were there, every local news station, tech journalists who'd been covering Preston's IPO, financial reporters interested in the fraud angle, even national outlets who'd picked up the story of the pregnant wife and the billionaire husband. Claire's hands shook. She pressed them against her belly, felt her daughter kick, like she was saying, go ahead, like she was saying, tell them, like she was saying, we're in this together. My name is Claire Montgomery, Claire began. Her voice shook, then steadied. And I'm here to tell you what happened on Christmas Eve. She told it all. The locked door, the snow, the party inside while she begged outside, Vanessa delivering Preston's message, the fake prenup, the CPS investigation, the systematic destruction of her reputation, the plan to claim postpartum psychosis before she was even in labor. The year of calculated cruelty. Then Trevor stepped forward, laid out the financial documents, the shell companies, the offshore accounts, the fraudulent accounting, the IPO based on cooked books. Montgomery Digital Solutions is built on lies, Trevor said. His voice was steady, certain. From the ground up. And I can't be part of that anymore. I won't be part of that anymore. A commotion in the crowd. Preston arriving, Vanessa beside him. 3 lawyers trying to push through. His face was red, furious, terrified. This is slander, Preston shouted. I'll sue every one of you. This is lies and defamation and... Sue me, Claire said calmly. The microphones caught every word. Please, I'd love to see you explain those emails in court. Under oath, in front of a judge and jury. Preston stopped. The cameras were on him, recording everything. His rage, his fear, the way his carefully constructed facade crumbled in real time. Whatever you think you have, Preston said, trying to regain control, trying to salvage something. My lawyers will prove it's fake, fabricated. You're desperate and unstable and... Claire pulled out her phone. She'd prepared for this, practiced with Marcus, knew exactly what to do. She pulled up the email. Preston's own words. The wife wants a baby. This complicates things but might work in our favor, playing devoted husband for another year. Then we file, claim she's unstable postpartum. I get everything, including the kid for leverage. She read it out loud, into the microphone, every word, every calculated syllable. The crowd went silent. The camera zoomed in on Preston's face, on his horror, on the moment he realized he'd lost. Claire looked at him, really looked, and she saw what she couldn't before. A scared man, a con artist, a manipulator watching his carefully built house of cards collapse in real time. Sue me, Preston, please. I'd love to see you explain this. For a second, she did the old thing, checked her phone, But different this time, not checking for his approval, his messages, his control, checking the feeds, watching the story spread in real time. How Montgomery meltdown was already trending. The stock market was reacting. Montgomery Digital's valuation was dropping. Investors were fleeing. A reporter called out, "Mrs. Montgomery, what do you want from this?" Claire paused. The question she'd been asking herself for weeks. What did she want? Money? Revenge? Justice? Vindication? "I want the truth to matter," Claire said, each word clear, certain. "I want my daughter to grow up knowing her mother fought for what was right. And I want every woman who's ever been locked out, literally or figuratively, to know that the door only has power if you keep trying to get back in. Sometimes the answer is to build your own house." She walked away. Marcus fielding questions behind her, Beth at her side, Grace holding her arm. They made it to the parking lot, to Beth's car, to safety. And then Claire's water broke. Right there, in the parking lot, in front of cameras that had followed them, in front of reporters still filming, in front of everyone. Beth was immediately in nurse mode. "Okay, contractions, how far apart?" That was the first one. Claire looked down at herself, at the puddle, at the timing, and started to laugh because, of course, this would happen now. Preston stood 30 feet away, frozen, watching, his lawyers whispering urgently in his ear, Vanessa pulling him toward their car. "Claire," he said, just her name, like he was seeing her for the first time, or maybe like he'd never really seen her at all. She met his eyes. "I hope you got good footage," she told the reporters. "This baby's going to want to know what her mother was doing when she decided to arrive." Labor lasted 12 hours. Beth never left her side. Grace held her hand through every contraction. Marcus camped in the waiting room fielding legal calls between updates. Trevor brought news every hour like clockwork. The IPO had been postponed indefinitely. The SEC had opened a formal investigation. Preston's board had called an emergency meeting. 3 business partners had resigned. 2 investors had filed lawsuits. The company's valuation had dropped by 60% in 3 hours. But Claire wasn't thinking about any of that. She was thinking about breathing, about surviving, about the work of bringing life into the world, even as everything else burned down around her. "Another contraction coming," the nurse said. "Deep breath. You're doing great." Claire gripped Beth's hand, rode the wave. It felt like being torn apart from the inside, like her body was breaking open to make room for something new. Someone new. "I can't," Claire gasped when it passed. "I can't do this anymore." "Yes, you can," Beth said firmly. Nurse voice, the voice that had seen hundreds of women through labor, the voice that knew. "You're in transition. That's the hardest part, but it means you're almost there. Almost done. Your baby's almost here." "How much longer?" "Could be 10 minutes, could be 2 hours. Every labor is different." Claire wanted to scream, wanted to give up, wanted to go back in time and make different choices. Better choices. Choices that didn't lead to giving birth in a hospital while her husband's empire crumbled and her future hung in balance. But time only moved forward, and the baby was coming whether Claire was ready or not. Grace wiped her forehead with a cool cloth. "You're so strong, sweetheart. So much stronger than you know." "I'm not strong. I'm terrified." Strength isn't not being afraid. Strength is doing it anyway. Another contraction. Harder this time. Longer. Claire felt something shift, something change, the baby moving down, getting ready. "I need to push," Claire said. "I need to push right now." The nurse checked, nodded, hit the call button. "She's ready. Get the doctor." Everything moved fast after that. The doctor arriving, nurses positioning equipment, lights adjusting, Beth moving to one side, Grace to the other, both holding Claire's hands, both anchoring her. "Okay, Claire," the doctor said. "Next contraction, I want you to push. Big push. Channel all that energy down. You can do this." The contraction came like a freight train. Claire pushed, felt the baby move, felt progress, felt possibility. "Good, excellent." Again with the next one. Push, breathe, push, breathe, push. The world narrowed to just this, just the work, just the impossible task of bringing a person into existence. I can see the head. You're right there, Claire. Almost done. A commotion in the hallway, raised voices, someone arguing with security. Beth looked toward the door. Her face changed. I'll be right back, Beth said, squeezed Claire's hand, went to check. She came back a minute later with a strange expression, conflicted, uncertain. Preston's here. He's demanding to be let in. Says he has a right to be here for the birth. Claire's first instinct was panic, pure primal terror. Having him here, in this room, during this vulnerable moment, after everything. But then something else rose up, something calmer, more certain, more powerful. Tell him he can come in, Claire said. Claire, you don't have to. I know, but I want to. Not for him, for me, for Hope. She deserves to have both parents here for her first moment. Not because he earned it, because she has. Beth looked skeptical, but went to get him. The door opened. Preston entered. He looked destroyed, suit rumpled beyond saving. Tie loose, hair uncombed, eyes red-rimmed, face pale. Nothing like the polished tech mogul from 3 days ago. Nothing like the calculated predator who'd locked her out on Christmas Eve. Just a man, scared, lost, watching his carefully built world collapse. He started to speak. Claire held up her hand. Another contraction was coming. She didn't have energy to hear his excuses. You can stay for the birth, because this baby deserves both parents here for her first breath. After that, we let the courts decide. Do you understand? Preston nodded, couldn't seem to find words. Stood in the corner like a ghost haunting his own life. Okay, Claire, the doctor said. Big push coming. This might be it. Ready? Claire wasn't ready, would never be ready, but the baby was coming anyway, ready or not, willing or not. The baby was arriving and Claire had to meet her. She pushed, felt something give, felt the baby move, felt the impossible becoming real. Heads out, one more push for the shoulders. Claire pushed again, gathered every ounce of strength, every moment of rage and fear and determination, pushed it all into this final effort. And then she was here. 7 pounds, 3 ounces of perfect, angry, beautiful baby girl, screaming her arrival into the world, making absolutely certain everyone knew she'd arrived and she mattered and she was here and she was alive. The nurse placed her on Claire's chest, still connected by the cord, still technically one person becoming two. That first skin-to-skin moment, that first look into her daughter's eyes, those tiny fingers, that wrinkled face, that shock of dark hair, those lungs that could clearly scream loud enough to wake the dead. Hi, Claire whispered through tears. Hi, baby girl. I'm your mom, and you just helped me save both our lives. The baby stopped crying, looked at Claire with ancient eyes, like she knew, like she understood, like she'd been waiting her whole short existence for this exact moment. She's beautiful, Beth said, crying openly now. She's absolutely perfect. Grace was sobbing, actually sobbing. Happy tears and relief tears and grandmother tears all mixed together. My grandbaby, my beautiful grandbaby. The nurse worked efficiently, cutting the cord, cleaning the baby, checking vitals, but leaving her on Claire's chest, knowing that this moment mattered more than protocols. Preston stood in the corner, crying, actually crying, watching the daughter he'd planned to use as leverage, the child he'd seen as a bargaining chip, the baby who was now a person with her own life ahead of her. Can I? Preston's voice cracked. Can I hold her? Claire looked at him, really looked. Saw the man she'd married, the man who'd destroyed her, the man who was her daughter's father, whether she liked it or not. Not yet, Claire said, not cruel, just honest. You haven't earned that yet. Maybe someday, but not today. Preston nodded, seemed to understand, seemed to accept. What's her name? Claire looked down at her daughter, at the embodiment of everything she'd fought for, everything she'd survived, everything she'd become. Hope, Claire said. Her name is Hope. Hope, Preston repeated, testing the word, tasting it. It's perfect. Grace Hope Montgomery, Claire continued. After my mother, after what I needed most, after what I found anyway. Preston stayed for 20 minutes, watched from the corner, didn't try to touch, didn't make demands, just watched, bearing witness to what he'd almost destroyed. Then he left, quietly, without drama. The lawyers were probably waiting, the board, the investigators, the ruins of his empire. But for 20 minutes he'd been present. He'd seen his daughter born. He'd heard her first cries. Maybe that mattered. Maybe it didn't. Time would tell. After he left, the room settled. The nurses finished their work. Hope nursed for the first time. That instinctive latch. That perfect design of mother and child. You did it, Beth said again. You actually did it. We did it, Claire corrected. All of us, every person who showed up, every person who believed me, every person who fought. Marcus appeared in the doorway. He'd been waiting, giving them space. But now he came in with updates and a laptop and the reality that still existed outside this room. The board voted, Marcus said. They're removing Preston as CEO, effective immediately. The company is hiring crisis management, cooperating with investigators, trying to salvage what's left. What about Preston? Lawyers negotiating. No criminal charges if he cooperates fully. Returns all hidden assets. Pays restitution. Testifies if needed. He'll lose almost everything. But he stays out of prison. Claire looked down at Hope, sleeping now, exhausted from being born, from entering this complicated world. And us, the custody case? With everything that's come out, the emails, the planning, the fraud? Marcus smiled. You'll get full custody, maybe supervised visitation for him if he completes parenting classes and therapy, but Hope is yours, completely yours. The words sank in slowly. Full custody, her daughter, safe, protected, hers. What about money, Grace asked. The practical question, the necessary question. Settlement negotiation starts next week. His assets are frozen, under investigation. But when it's all settled, you'll get something. Not 20 million, probably not 10, but enough. Enough to be stable, enough to start over, enough to raise Hope without worrying about money every day. Claire looked at her daughter, at the life she'd brought into the world, at the responsibilities she now carried. I don't need millions, Claire said. I just need enough for an apartment, enough for her needs, enough to rebuild my life, that's all. You'll get that, Marcus promised. I'll make sure of it. Trevor appeared next, bringing flowers, looking awkward, unsure of his place in this new configuration of people. Congratulations, Trevor said. She's beautiful. She looks like you. You think? Definitely. She has your eyes, your expression, like she's already figuring things out. Claire smiled. She just spent 9 months listening to her mother's life implode. She probably has PTSD. Or she's already stronger than all of us, Beth said. They stayed like that for hours, taking turns holding Hope, watching her sleep, marveling at fingers and toes, at the miracle of new life, at the possibility of fresh starts. The sun set outside the hospital window, the day of the press conference, the day Claire's water broke on courthouse steps, the day Hope decided to arrive. You know what's crazy? Claire said. This morning I was at a press conference destroying my husband's company. Tonight I'm a mother. In one day, everything changed, again. You seem calm, Beth observed. I am calm. For the first time in weeks, I'm calm. Because she's here. She's safe. She's mine. And everything else, all the legal stuff and the money stuff and the custody stuff, it'll work out or it won't. But she's here and that's what matters. Grace kissed Hope's forehead. You're going to be an amazing mother. How do you know? Because you already are. You fought for her before she was born. You sacrificed for her. You chose truth over money because you wanted her to grow up with a mother who had integrity. That's what good mothers do. Night fell completely. The hospital quieted. Visiting hours ended. Beth and Marcus and Trevor left. Grace stayed, sleeping in the chair by the window, ready to help, ready to support, ready to be grandmother. Claire lay in the hospital bed, Hope in the bassinet beside her. Close enough to touch, close enough to watch, close enough to protect. She thought about Christmas Eve, 6 weeks ago but feeling like 6 years. standing in the snow, locked out, terrified, 8 months pregnant and abandoned. If someone had told her then that 6 weeks later she'd have destroyed her husband's empire, reported fraud to the SEC, gone viral on social media, and given birth to a healthy baby girl, she wouldn't have believed it. But here she was, mother, survivor, fighter, woman who'd chosen the hard right over the easy wrong. Hope stirred, made small sounds, not crying yet, just waking. Claire picked her up, held her close, breathed in that newborn smell. Hi, baby girl. You and me, we're going to figure this out together. I don't have all the answers. I don't have a perfect plan, but I have love. So much love. And I have people who showed up, and I have truth on my side. And somehow, that's going to do enough. Hope's eyes opened, dark blue, unfocused, but looking, trying to see, trying to understand this new world. Your father is complicated, Claire continued. He did terrible things. He hurt me. He hurt you by trying to use you, but maybe he'll get better. Maybe he'll become the father you deserve. I hope so. For your sake. Not for his, for yours. The baby yawned. Tiny mouth, perfect teeth buds, already so human, so complete, so herself. But if he doesn't, that's okay too, because you have me. You have Grandma Grace. You have Aunt Beth. You have Uncle Marcus and Uncle Trevor. You have people who will love you no matter what, who will show up, who will stay. Claire's phone buzzed. Multiple messages, news alerts, social media notifications. The story was everywhere. Pregnant woman gives birth after press conference. Tech CEO's empire crumbles. Truth wins over money. But Claire didn't check. Didn't need to. The outside world could wait. This moment mattered more. Just her and Hope. Mother and daughter. Two people starting a new life together. Building something real. Something honest. Something that couldn't be taken away. We're going to be okay, Claire whispered. Better than okay. We're going to be happy. Actually happy. The real kind. Not the performance kind. Not the Instagram kind. The messy, complicated, beautiful kind. Hope fell back asleep. That complete trust. That certainty that Mama would keep her safe. That belief that the world was good because Mama said so. Claire would earn that trust. Every day, every choice, every moment. She would be the mother Hope deserved. The mother she herself had needed. The mother who chose truth over comfort. Who chose integrity over ease. Who would use love over fear. Through the window she could see the city lights. The world continuing. Life happening. But in this room, time had stopped. Just long enough for Claire to catch her breath. To hold her daughter. To feel the weight of what she'd accomplished. She'd survived. She'd fought. She'd won. Not the way she expected. Not with millions and mansions, but with something better. With truth. With dignity. With herself intact. And now she was a mother. The most important job she'd ever have. The most important choice she'd ever make. The most important person she'd ever be. Hope. Grace. Truth. Love. These were the foundations she'd build on. These were the values that mattered. These were the gifts she'd give her daughter. The rest would come. The apartment, the money, the custody agreement, the career, the life. It would all come, one day at a time, one step at a time, one choice at a time. But tonight she had everything that mattered. Her daughter, her truth, herself, and the absolute certainty that she would never again let anyone make her feel invisible. She was visible now, entirely herself, completely present, absolutely certain. And that was worth more than all of Preston's millions. That was worth everything. Summer arrived like a promise kept. Warm sunshine. Long days. The kind of weather that made everything feel possible. Claire stood in her apartment kitchen making tea, Hope strapped against her chest in a carrier. 6 months old now, solid, happy, curious about everything. The apartment was small, but it was home. Really home. One bedroom for Hope with a crib Beth had bought and a mobile Grace had made. A living room that doubled as Claire's studio. A kitchen barely big enough for one person. A bathroom with a shower that worked most of the time. Nothing like the mansion, but infinitely better. Because it was hers. Actually hers. Paid for with the settlement. 2.3 million after legal fees and taxes. Not 20, not 10, but enough. Enough for a down payment. Enough for a car. Enough for savings. Enough to start her art career again. Enough to raise hope without worrying about rent every month. Enough for a life that was real instead of performed. She checked her phone, not the old compulsive checking, the new purposeful checking. Business email for her art studio, commission requests, gallery inquiries, interview requests from podcasts and magazines and documentaries about women who'd fought back against powerful men. Her story had resonated. The pregnant wife who chose truth over millions, the woman who'd stood on courthouse steps and exposed fraud, the mother who'd given birth after destroying her husband's empire. People wanted to hear her voice, see her art, understand her journey. She'd been interviewed by every major outlet. Her face had been on magazine covers. Her paintings had been featured in exhibitions. The press conference had made her famous, but her art had made her respected. Her truth had made her trusted. Her story had made her someone other women looked to when they needed strength. Ready for the park? Claire asked Hope. Aunt Beth is meeting us, and Grandma, and maybe Uncle Marcus if he can get away from the office. Hope kicked her legs, made happy sounds, already so expressive, so certain of herself, so convinced the world was good because her mother said so. They walked to the park 3 blocks away, small neighborhood park, playground, duck pond, benches under oak trees, nothing fancy, but Hope loved it, loved watching other children, loved the ducks, loved being outside. Beth was already there, on a bench, Trevor beside her. They'd been dating for 3 months now, serious, real, building something that looked like it might last. There's my girl! Beth swooped in to take Hope from the carrier. Look at you, getting so big. What are you eating, Waits? Hope laughed, that baby belly laugh that made everyone smile, that pure joy that 6-month-olds had before the world taught them to worry. How's the exhibit planning going? Trevor asked Claire. Good. Gallery confirmed for September. 20 pieces, mix of new work and the series about the divorce. Should be ready. I can't wait to see it, Beth said, still holding Hope, making faces, being the best auntie ever. Your paintings are incredible. That one of the locked door, it made me cry. That was the point. Well, it worked. You're going to sell everything. I'm calling it now. Grace arrived with sandwiches, homemade, still warm, proof that even at 55, she couldn't help being mom. Hope needs to eat more vegetables, Grace said. Unloading containers, I made sweet potato puree, and peas, and carrots. Mom, she's 6 months old. She eats like 4 vegetables total. Exactly why we need to expand her palate. They ate lunch in the sunshine. Hope on a blanket, trying to grab grass, trying to eat her own feet, being a perfect, normal, happy baby who had no idea her birth had made national news. How's Preston? Grace asked. The question everyone danced around, the elephant in every conversation. Fine, good, I think. He sees Hope twice a week, supervised visits at the family center. He's doing therapy, parenting classes, anger management, all the court-ordered stuff. And he's actually trying. He holds her right now, talks to her, brings age-appropriate toys instead of expensive nonsense. He's learning. That's good, Grace said carefully. For Hope. Yeah, for Hope. Claire watched her daughter try to eat a leaf. I don't know if he'll ever be a real father, but he's trying. That's more than I expected. Do you talk to him, besides logistics? Sometimes, small talk mostly, how she's sleeping, what food she likes. Normal co-parent stuff, it's weird. But okay, better than the alternative. Marcus arrived with his kids, Emma 9, Jacob 7. They immediately wanted to hold Hope, to show her things, to be big kids with the baby. Careful, Marcus warned. Support her head, just like that, perfect. Claire watched them, these children who'd been through their own divorce, their own trauma, their own rebuilding, and who were now gentle and kind and present. Kids are resilient, Marcus said, reading her thoughts. They adapt, they heal. Hope will be fine, better than fine, because she has you. And what if I mess up? What if I make wrong choices? Then you apologize and do better. That's what good parents do. They mess up and they fix it. They don't have to be perfect. They just have to show up. The afternoon passed in that easy way summer afternoons do. Sunshine, laughter, children playing, adults talking, Hope experiencing her first taste of grass, which she hated. Her first encounter with a duck, which terrified her. Her first attempt at rolling over on a blanket, which almost worked. As the sun started setting, people drifted away. Marcus taking his kids home. Trevor and Beth heading to dinner. Grace helping Claire pack up the baby supplies. "I'm proud of you," Grace said, folding the blanket. "I know I say it a lot, but I am. You've built something real, something good, something that matters. I'm still figuring it out. We're all figuring it out. That's life, the figuring out." They walked home, Hope asleep in the carrier against Claire's chest. The familiar weight, the steady breathing, the complete trust. Back at the apartment, Claire laid Hope in her crib, watched her sleep for a moment. That miracle of new life, that possibility, that hope. Then she went to her easel, the painting she'd been working on for weeks, the final piece for the exhibition, the one that mattered most. It was her. On Christmas Eve, in the snow, but not defeated, not broken, looking up, seeing stars, seeing possibility, seeing the crack of light that would lead her out. She painted for 2 hours, lost in the work, finding the right colors, the right shadows, the right feeling. Her phone rang, unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her. "Claire Montgomery?" A woman's voice. "This is Rachel Kim from the Museum of Contemporary Art. I'm calling about your upcoming exhibition." "Yes?" "We'd like to feature your work in our annual showcase. It's a juried exhibition, very prestigious. Your pieces about surviving domestic abuse really resonated with our selection committee. Would you be interested?" Claire sat down. The Museum of Contemporary Art, juried exhibition, prestigious. "Yes," Claire said. "Yes, I'd be very interested." They talked details, submission requirements, timeline, compensation. By the time Claire hung up, she was shaking. Her art was being recognized, not because of the scandal, not because of Preston, because of her talent, her vision, her voice. She'd been an artist before Preston. She'd stopped being one during the marriage, and now she was becoming one again. Stronger, clearer, more certain. Hope woke up crying, hungry. Claire warmed a bottle, fed her in the rocking chair by the window, watched the city lights come on one by one. "You know what, baby girl," Claire said. "We're going to be okay. Better than okay, we're going to be happy, actually happy." Hope's eyes drooped, fighting sleep, wanting to stay awake, wanting to be part of everything. "Your life is going to be different than I planned," Claire continued. "Your parents aren't together. Your father made terrible choices. But you have people who love you. You have a mother who will fight for you. And you have a story that starts with survival and builds toward joy." The baby fell asleep. That complete surrender to exhaustion. That trust that tomorrow would come and Mama would still be there. Claire carried her back to the crib, tucked her in, turned on the mobile that played lullabies, watched for another moment. Then she went back to her painting, added final touches, adjusted colors, made it perfect. 3 weeks later, Claire stood in the gallery, her first solo exhibition. 20 paintings, 10 months of work. Her story told in color and light and truth. The opening was packed. Friends, family, strangers who'd followed her story, art critics, or collectors, people who wanted to see the woman who'd chosen truth over millions translate that choice into art. Beth arrived with a Trevor, both dressed up, both proud. "This is incredible," Beth said. "Claire, these are amazing. You're amazing." Grace stood in front of the locked door painting, crying quietly. "This is the one that got me, because I know what it felt like standing there. But you painted hope into it. Even in the worst moment, you painted possibility." Marcus came with his kids. They looked at the painting seriously, trying to understand. "Why did you paint sad things?" Emma asked. Because sad things are part of life, Claire said, but they're not the end of life. See this one? She pointed to the final painting. The one of her with newborn hope. That's the happy ending. That's what came after the sad part. Oh, Emma said, considering. That makes sense. Preston came. Claire hadn't expected that, but he stood in the back, looking at paintings of his own cruelty, his own choices, his own destruction rendered in art. He found Claire during a quiet moment. These are powerful, he said. Devastating, but powerful. Thank you. I'm sorry. The words came out quiet, broken. I know I've said it before. I know it's not enough, but I'm sorry for all of it, for what I did, for who I was, for everything. Claire looked at him, really looked, saw the man who'd destroyed her, but also the father who was trying, the human who was broken, the person who was attempting to rebuild. I forgive you, Claire said, not because you deserve it, because I deserve peace, because hope deserves parents who can coexist, because holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting you to die. Can we ever be friends? No, but we can be respectful co-parents. We can be people who made a child together and want the best for her. That's enough. Preston nodded, looked at the paintings again. She's lucky to have you as her mother. Yes, she is. He left, back to his small life, his reduced circumstances, his supervised visitations, his ongoing therapy, his path of redemption that might never fully work. But that was his journey, not Claire's burden anymore. The exhibition was a success. 3 paintings sold opening night, 5 more by the end of the week. Reviews were glowing. Claire Montgomery had announced herself as an artist worth watching. But more than that, she'd told her story. She'd taken the worst moments of her life and transformed them into something beautiful, something meaningful, something that helped other women feel seen. That mattered more than sales, more than reviews, more than recognition. She'd turned pain into power, survival into art, truth into beauty. 3 months later, fall arriving with golden light and cool breezes, Hope's first birthday approaching. Claire stood in her studio apartment, bigger now, 2 bedrooms, space for a real studio, paid for with painting sales and museum commissions and interview fees. She'd been featured in major magazines. Her story had been optioned for a documentary. She'd been invited to speak at women's conferences, to share her journey, to inspire others. But tonight was quiet. Just her and Hope, 9 months old now, crawling, babbling, almost ready to walk. Growing so fast, Claire could barely keep up. They sat on the floor, building blocks, reading books, playing peekaboo, normal mama-baby activities that felt extraordinary because they were hers. A knock at the door, Beth with takeout, Grace with dessert, Marcus with good news about a finally settled lawsuit, Trevor with flowers just because. The family she'd built, not by blood, not by marriage, by choice, by showing up, by staying. They ate dinner together, Hope in her high chair, making a mess, being completely herself, loved by everyone at the table. I have an announcement, Beth said, looking at Trevor, both of them nervous, excited. We're engaged. The table erupted. Hugs, congratulations, tears, joy. You're getting married, Claire said. When? How? Tell me everything. Next summer, small ceremony, just family and close friends. And Hope better be Flower Girl. Obviously, Hope is Flower Girl. That's not even a question. They celebrated, planned, dreamed, made toasts to love that was real, to second chances, to building something new from the ruins of something broken. Later, after everyone left, Claire gave Hope a bath. That nightly ritual, splashing, giggling, baby shampoo, soft towels, then bedtime, bottle, rocking chair, lullabies, that precious window before sleep when Hope was quiet and peaceful and perfect. You know what, baby girl? Claire whispered. A year ago, I was standing in the snow, locked out, terrified, 8 months pregnant with you. I thought my life was ending. I thought I'd lost everything. Hope's eyes drooped, fighting sleep like she always did. But I hadn't lost everything. I'd lost a life that was built on lies. I'd lost a marriage that was never real. I'd lost a mansion that was never home. But I found myself. I found my voice. I found my strength. And I found you. The baby's eyes closed, opened, closed again. And tomorrow we get to wake up and do it again. Build our life, make our art, love our people, be ourselves completely, honestly, joyfully. Hope fell asleep. That complete surrender. That perfect trust. Claire carried her to the crib, tucked her in, turned on the nightlight, watched her breathe for a moment. Then she went to the window, looked out at the city, the lights, the life, the possibility. Christmas was coming again, 1 year anniversary of the worst and best night of her life. The night everything ended and everything began. She'd survived. More than survived. She'd thrived. Built a career, raised a daughter, found herself, told her truth, made art that mattered. And she'd done it all by refusing to be erased, by choosing the hard right over the easy wrong, by building her own house instead of begging to be let into someone else's. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. She almost deleted it. Then read, "Saw your museum showcase announcement. Was created incredible work. Hope is lucky to him. P." Claire read it once. Felt nothing. No anger, no pain, no triumph. Just acceptance. She typed back, "Thank you. She sees you tomorrow at 3. Don't be late." That was enough. That was all the relationship they needed. Respectful co-parents. People who shared a child, nothing more. She deleted the conversation, turned off her phone, went back to the window. 1 year, one full trip around the sun, from locked door to museum showcase, from mansion to apartment, from invisible wife to recognized artist, from victim to survivor to victor. Hope stirred in her crib, made small sounds. Claire went to her, picked her up, brought her to the window. "Look," Claire whispered. "See the lights? Each one is someone's home, someone's story, someone's journey. And this one right here, this is ours. This is home. This is where we belong." Hope looked at the lights, reached for them with tiny hands, believed she could touch stars because she was 9 months old and the world still felt magical. "Don't ever let anyone make you feel small," Claire continued. "Don't ever let anyone erase you. Don't ever let anyone convince you that you're worth less than everything. You're worth the world, and you're worth fighting for, and you're worth the truth." The baby yawned, ready for sleep again, ready to surrender to dreams. Claire carried her back to the crib, but this time she painted first. One quick sketch, mother and child at window, looking at city lights, looking at possibility, looking at everything that came after survival. She titled it Hope, because that's what it was, what she'd found, what she'd built, what she'd become. Hope that tomorrow would be better. Hope that love was real. Hope that truth mattered. Hope that strength came from surviving. Hope that joy was possible after pain. Hope that locked doors weren't endings. They were beginnings, invitations to build something better, something real, something that couldn't be taken away. She finished the painting, signed it, dated it, 1 year after Christmas Eve. Then she climbed into bed, exhausted, happy, complete. Through the window, snow began to fall, just like a year ago, but this time Claire was inside, in her own home, on her own terms, with her daughter sleeping peacefully in the next room. She didn't need mansions. She didn't need millions. She didn't need anything except what she had: her daughter, her art, her truth, her people, her life that was actually hers. And that was worth more than all of Preston's billions. That was worth everything. The snow fell, the city slept. Hope breathed steadily, and Claire closed her eyes knowing tomorrow would come and she would face it, whatever it brought, however it unfolded, because she'd survived the worst, and anything else was just life. Beautiful, messy, complicated, perfect life. And she was ready for all of it. So that's Claire's story. From locked door to museum showcase, from invisible wife to unstoppable mother, from survival to victory. You know what's incredible? Thousands of you have messaged me saying Claire's story gave you courage to leave, to speak up, to choose yourself, to build your own house instead of begging to be let into someone else's. That's why I share these stories, not for the drama, but for the women who need to know they're not alone, that they're not crazy, that they can survive and thrive. If Claire's story resonated with you, hit that like button. It tells me you want more stories about women who refuse to be erased. Drop a comment telling me what moment hit you hardest. Was it the locked door, the press conference, the birth, Hope's first word? Share this with someone who needs to hear it. A friend going through divorce, a sister questioning her marriage, a daughter learning what real love looks like. Your share might be exactly what someone needs today. And subscribe if you haven't already, because every week I bring you stories of survival, strength, and women who rewrote their endings. Stories that matter. Voices that deserve to be heard. Remember, locked doors aren't endings. They're invitations to build something better.